in fact, into tonight is what is known as Yud Shvat. Yud Shvat is the 10th day of this month of Shvat, and it is more of a specific commemoration and celebration of the Chabad community, Chabad Lubavitch, because it is this day 72 years ago that the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak of Lubavitch, passed away. And 1 year later, 71 years ago, his son-in-law succeeded him. He took over the leadership of the community. So for the Chabad community, which is where I grew up, it is a very auspicious day. In fact, I'm going to now put up some interesting images of Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. He was born in 1880 in the town of Lubavitch. Yes, it's a town in White Russia. That's why it's called Lubavitch. Lubavitch translates into English as the town or city of love, like Philadelphia. It also means the city of love, right? Or brotherly love. He succeeded from his father, Shalom Ber, the fifth Chabad Rebbe, in 1920 at the beginning of the Soviet takeover of Russia. It was still the end of Stalin. A few years later, the end of Lenin, and then a few years later, Stalin takes over, and persecution of people of the faith, all faiths, and Judaism too, were persecuted and arrested and all that. So it culminated with Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak's arrest. He was arrested several times. I think it was like 7 times throughout his life. But the main one, or the one that was really life or death, was in 1927. And he was in fact commuted to death, but through a lot of various. Let's see if we could do it. Okay, this is a picture of him towards the end of his life. He had amazing. What's the word? He had amazing visage. You look at him here. This is later in life. Stern. He would also smile. He was also a very joyful individual. This is him a little bit younger. And then he was he was sent to death, and then his sentence was commuted, and eventually he left the Soviet Union. Stalin let him leave reluctantly in 28, I think it was, or end of 27. He made it to Latvia for a few years and to Poland for a few years. This is him in the 1930s, and then when World War II broke out, he was stuck in Warsaw. And he was actually there at the first wave of bombings in 1939. He was even there for really when there were bombings and running from home to home. He almost lost his life, and he was in hideout in Warsaw, right? I don't even think it was officially a ghetto yet, but. And then what happened was, through very interesting intervention of the State Department of America and other governments, they snuck him out of Warsaw, ironically through Berlin, and put him on a plane to Stockholm, and then eventually made it on a steamliner to New York, beginning of 1940. And he eventually moved after half a year into Crown Heights in 770 Eastern Parkway. That's how Lubavitch's headquarters came to be at 770 Eastern Parkway. He lived out the last 10 years of his life there and passed away the 10th of Shvat, this day, exactly 72 years ago. Here I show a couple more images of him. He did visit America earlier, 10 years before, like 1929. Here's a picture of him. It's a little truncated, but this is him coming off the boat or so a little bit in 1929. He visited America for close to a year. Interesting picture. So he had 3 son-in-laws. He had 3 daughters, 3 son-in-laws. 2 of them were prominent rabbis. The older one was Rabbi Shmaria Garari, who ran the yeshiva. Oh, this is the picture. This is a picture taken right. He came here in 1940. Came off the boat. That's him. That's Rabbi Shmaria Garari with the cylinder hat, and his son Barry. But the one to succeed him was actually the middle son-in-law, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, where here's the image of them two together. Here. What happened? I must have. There's a couple images of them together, but let's put that back, even though it's smaller. Here. This one was taken in Europe still, in the late or mid-20s. That is Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, the seventh Lubavitch Rebbe, the last one that we know of. Here it is, larger. They were distant cousins. Therefore, they're both called Schneerson, both from this the prominent Chabad family. I just had before a picture of this is them playing chess together in 1930s. Here too, again in Europe together. There was a picture, I think, before of them, like later in life. Sorry there. Let's see. Oh, yeah, where did it go? Here, this picture was taken in 1949. Sorry, here, this one. This was when Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson accepted American citizenship, and this is Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. So these were the two last leaders of the Chabad Lubavitch movement. They both brought Chabad Hasidism to America and were the real spearheads of spreading traditional Judaism here in America. Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, for those in Jewish renewal and such, he was also the teacher of Rabbi Zalman Schachter. For those that who studied with him, I know a couple people here view Rabbi Zalman as their teachers, and Rabbi Zalman would invoke Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak many a times. So this is it's a mix. It's a day of mixed feelings because they both of the passing the yard site of Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, but it's also the day when his son-in-law succeeded him and continued the movement. Here's a picture of Yosef Yitzchak smiling. He was also, and here of him writing. He was an amazing writer. He wrote memoirs and various stories, and he was one who really kept the traditional culture of Hasidism, Chabad Hasidism alive. So there was a great Farbrengen last night here in Crown Heights in 770, and tonight is the main time that they're Farbrengen all over. So that's what we're doing here in a way also. Farbrengen for this very auspicious day. So maybe we'll also blend in teachings or invoke Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak and the Rabbi Menachem Mendel in our Zoom Farbrengen tonight. What most of the Chabad Hasidim are studying or immersed in this day is the last teaching or Hasidic discourse of Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak that he gave to be published just the day before he passed away. And then a year later, his successor, Rabbi Menachem Mendel, picked up on that teaching and theme and expanded upon it. So maybe we'll start a little bit with that, and then we'll go into the Parsha, okay? This, again, as mentioned, the Parsha is very full of interesting stuff. It's the story of splitting the Red Sea is like the end of Joseph in Egypt, right? Of course, we know it from the Passover and the Seder. And it's the beautiful thing that we have, and in general, that because we read the Torah portions having to do with Egypt and Exodus, leaving Egypt, we read it now, a couple or few months before actual Passover. So we get to be involved with the Passover narrative at least twice a year. In fact, the real there's a mitzvah to remember the leaving of Egypt every day. It's part of six memory. It's Sheish Zechirot. It's called the six items to remember throughout a day, every day. and we invoke it in our prayers every day, and we invoke it in our Shabbat prayers particularly, and then and even in Kiddush, and when we and maybe we'll explain why is that too. Why is this so essential to the Jewish identity, and even more to all of existence in a way? But certainly we not only mention it, but we really unpack it 2 times a year. Again, these few Torah portions from 3 weeks ago, Shemot, till now, till next week, which will be Matan Torah, giving of the Torah, right? So it's Egypt with all the labor and servitude, and with the 10 plagues. Then there's Exodus of Egypt, 7 days going through the desert till splitting of the Red Sea. Then another 6 weeks later in the original timeline of events, and then 6 weeks later was giving of the Torah, 10 Commandments, and the whole Torah at Mount Sinai. So that's the part arc of the narrative. And as we'll see, they're all connected. It's all one leads to the other. So it's just amazing. Like it's almost like it's like the warm up, preparing already now for Passover, for Pesach, and because even though we're in the thick of winter, in general, Pesach is like, you could say, it's the climax of the Jewish of all Jewish holidays, and there's also so many laws and rituals involved around it that it takes a long time to prepare. Some people begin preparing things already now. For traditionally, you start from the end of Hanukkah, like the matzah bakeries start baking matzahs already from like end of Hanukkah. Some people begin preparing things in the house even. Maybe if they want to make their own special wine or things for Passover, they're already starting now. Or even if they want to obsessively clean out their house, they're already doing it now. In fact, just remember that there's a story, I think they say it with Reb Chaim Brisker, the Rabbi Chaim Soloveitchik, who was the Rav in Brisk, that so back in the shtetl days, they wouldn't use oil for Passover, but they would use schmaltz. But in order to have enough schmaltz for Passover, you have to start collecting it early enough. So they would start collecting it from the end of Hanukkah and on. So the story goes that a simple housewife came to the Rav, to Reb Chaim Brisker, all hysterical, like she came like sometime maybe like a few weeks before Passover. What's the issue? The issue is that she forgot to start collecting the schmaltz for Passover right after Hanukkah, and it's already weeks later, and it's just a few weeks before Passover. What's going to be? Because she started collecting the schmaltz now, and if she does, will it be kosher enough? And she was all really distressed about it. So Reb Chaim was there with his students. In general, it's known Reb Chaim Brisker he had an open house policy. He, unlike many rabbis, where their home is their very private place, Reb Chaim Soloveitchik was known. He even had like homeless people and widows and people just living in his house. That's how open he was. So this woman's in his study, and Reb Chaim has his students there too, and she's asking the Rabbi Chaim, what should she do? She didn't prepare all the schmaltz early enough, and the students on the side are just like trying, just barely containing their laughter, because they know there is no law about this. There is not even a custom about it. It's just a practical thing. To have enough schmaltz for Passover, you start from after Hanukkah, but nowhere does it say so. You should do this, etc. But she's taking it like it's like this serious law. But Reb Chaim, to their dismay, he puts on a serious face, starts stroking his beard, and he goes to his big bookshelf, starts taking down one book after another book, looking up, turning pages, and thinking about it. And then finally, after a few minutes, he looks up and tells her, madam, I found a way to say that a leniency, a way to say that yes, that it is kosher if you start to collect the shmaltz now. But remember, don't forget that don't do this again. You have to be careful about this. But I found a way it's kosher. She leaves all happy. She'll have a beautiful Passover. After she leaves, the students ask him, Rabbi, like, what? Why? We all know that there is no such law. And it's just, why did you make it such a serious issue? No, it's like it was almost comical. Like, why did you take it so seriously? So the Reb Chaim said, "Look, guys, she doesn't know what's important or not in the laws. If I responded to her in a lackadaisical way, or even certainly in a comical way, or laughing it off, or even telling her that what are you bringing silly question to me or anything like that, that would turn her off from ever coming back again to ask a question at a time when it may be really serious. Because she cannot distinguish what is a law, what's a custom, what's not even a custom. So therefore, did it this way. So for the future, that she'll feel that she could trust the rabbi to come back to for more questions. I mean, I'm just mentioning this story just to point out that preparations for Passover would even begin in the thicket of winter. So here too, we start studying also in the beginning of even about Passover, even in the winter. Even the time, even before Tu B'Shvat. Incidentally, with Reb Chaim, I think it's with him also a story that someone came to him about Passover also, asking, Rabbi, can I fulfill the obligation of drinking 4 cups of wine for the Seder with 4 cups of milk? So Reb Chaim said this. He said, no, you can't. But I have a special fund for the situation, so you could get wine. And he took out a lot of money, not just money to purchase wine, but he got gave him a substantial amount of money. And so then 2 students asked him, why did you give him so much funds? And he answered, because someone who he didn't come to ask me about milk. I could tell he must be so poor that he doesn't even have money to make an entire Seder or to do anything for Passover. So therefore, it's not just about the milk versus wine, but it was a signal that this person was in great need, and therefore he helped him out. See, that is the way a real rabbi should be, not just someone who knows the texts and the laws, what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, and which is the manual of how to follow the law, but to know how to read between the lines, meaning how to read the person between the lines. What is the real needs of the individual coming for with their questions. That's a real rabbi. There was people like Rabbi Moshe Feinstein of blessed memory who was like that, and others. Those are the true rabbis. And again, it's not about finding leniencies. It's about understanding and caring for the person's practical and spiritual needs. In a way, this way of leadership, we could say, is also what Moses carried. He even knew when to challenge God, so to speak, for the benefit of the Jewish people, and even take it for them. And in fact, we have you could see some of that in this week's Torah portion. Ironically, what happens is that right, it says Yud Shvat that Pharaoh sends the people after the people left Egypt and they're wandering through the desert, and they're there already 3 to 6 days down the line. According to the Midrash, Pharaoh didn't catch on really that the Jews have escaped, or didn't really react to it until 3 days later, and that's when he started pursuing them, chases them down to the Red Sea, to the Yam Suf, the Reed Sea, right? Not Red Sea, but Reed, EC. Suf means reeds. And that is what happens there. It says that the people began crying, calling out to God for help. including Moses. But God says, no, stop praying to me. Stop crying even. Just go ahead and go forward. Have full faith and trust. Go ahead, even through into the sea. I mean, the people obviously you have a whole big sea ahead of you. Where's there to go? But no, there was someone by the name of Nahshon, the son of Aminadav, and he jumped into the sea, walked all the way to his nostrils, as the Midrash says, and that is when Moses stretched out the staff, as God says, over the sea, and it split, and they were able to walk through. And as we know the narrative, once they went through, the Egyptians followed through, and then he stretched the staff over the sea again, and the waters came a tumbling down. All right, so by Yud Shvat and they wandered through. It says they carried the bones of Joseph with them. By the way, the bones of Joseph were, and you could say the sarcophagus of Joseph was submerged in the Nile. And according to the Midrash and the Chilta, what happened was that Moses took a plate of gold and wrote on it the blessing of Jacob to Joseph. Joseph's the bowl, the shar, by his father. And he wrote, Alei Shar, rise, dear O bull, on it, and he threw it into the Nile, and that is how that's how they found the long submerged bone, body of Joseph, and took him out. And incidentally, it is this. We'll learn this in a couple of weeks. For the golden calf, that is how the golden calf was activated, because they took that very same plate of gold and threw it into the fire. And that created the golden calf. The story, but be it as it may, he surfaces, takes it, and it's also with the bodies of the other brothers of the 12 brothers and sons of Joseph. They continue through, and so they're going through the desert, and there's the columns of fire, of smoke, and by day and fire by night to lead them, protect them, and then. Where are we? Here. And then it says that, so Pharaoh chases them with all his chariots and soldiers. And here it says, and so the Jewish people became afraid, and they called out or screamed, meaning in prayer to God. And they said to Moses, were there not enough burial sites or graves in Egypt to take us out here to the desert to die? Why did you take us out? He says it was even better. It would have been good if we just would have stayed in Egypt rather than coming out here in the desert and to be killed and die. And that's when Moses tells the people, don't be afraid, stand up and see that God will save you today, because whatever you saw in Egypt, you shall no more see. That means God will battle for you, and you be quiet. So from these, so that's what he says. God will battle, and then God tells Moses, "Why are you calling out to me? Tell the people to travel forward." So from these verses, the Midrash says gives an interesting breakdown that whenever there's an emergency situation and you have a group of people, many times you have different opinions arise to how to deal with the situation. Same too here. When they arrived at the coast of the Red Sea, there were 4 camps of people. One camp said, let us just jump in the sea. We can't go back to Egypt. Obviously, we're going to be killed by the Egyptians. Let's just jump into the sea and get it over with. Call it noble suicide. The second group said, no, we're going to go back to Egypt, and at least we won't die. I mean, we'll be forced to live or be back into servitude, but at least we'll have our lives. The third group said, no, we're going to go and we're gonna battle. Let's be let's stand up, even though we're so few and unarmed, but we're not gonna go down. We're gonna go down fighting Egypt. And the fourth said, no, we're gonna sit and we're gonna go and pray. There's nothing to do anyways. We'll just pray to God, and hopefully He'll help. Right. Incidentally, all four of these ways, we just as saying it now, remind me almost like when, unfortunately, not to make a direct association, but when Jews were trapped in Hitler Europe and the Holocaust was at its onset, you also had different reactions of people. Some took their lives. Some said, we'll go back, we'll try to figure things out, and where, let's say, others said, no, like partisans, we're going to fight them. Others said, no, we're just going to daven and pray to help. So we see almost that a mirroring of it, even not that long ago. But to all four of these, God tells Moses, no, that neither of any of these ways are the right way. The real thing to do is just to march forward, march ahead. Don't look back. Just go. Even if there's a sea ahead of you, just go ahead. And because Moses will lift the staff and split it. So the question is, what is so bad? In fact, I mean, okay, not to drown, maybe not to go back to Egypt, but certainly to fight them, or even more so to pray to God. Like, why are those not the right reactions to having Egypt right at your coming right at your foothills? And even the way it's put in the verses is sort of problematic. Like, what is more or less the right thing to do? So exactly 60 years ago on this night, Yud Shvat, which they would make the Farbrengen on the 10th of Shvat, for as mentioned, it's the previous Rebbe's Yartzeit and the Rebbe's day of succession. So exactly 60 years ago, the Rebbe discussed this, and he gave a very, very amazing insight. And he said what these four groups of people represent are four ways to be involved in the world, four ways to do our work in the world. The first group, those that say to jump into the sea, represent those people that say, there are challenges in the world, what have you. I'm not going to deal with this world. It's too much. It's going to suck me into negativity, into the unholy. I'm just going to put blinders on. I'm just going to ignore the world. I'm just going to jump into the sea, meaning I'm just going to go into like the sea of Torah or whatever. I'm going to stay in my own cocoon. I'll just focus on my own spirituality. I'll just cut off. I'll go back to jump into mysticism, deep in the depths of the secrets of the world, what have you. In general, the sea in Kabbalah represents the world of coverness, of hiddenness, and also where the great secret teachings are, versus the earth, the land, dry land, represents the revealed teachings. So they say, we're just going to jump in and ignore all the chatter and all the distractions of the greater world. Out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. Out of sight, out of heart, spirit. Okay, so that's not good, because we're meant to be involved in the world, certainly. The second group says, you know what? Okay, we're not going to cut ourselves off from the world, but we're going to go back. We're going to get involved in the world, but we're going to be forced to do it, right? It's not something we really want to do. We'll go back to Egypt, even if it means we'll be slaves. So it's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm forced to get involved in the world. I'm forced to help people. I'm forced to do my job. I'm forced to make the world a better place. But it will be without the joy or simcha. It'll be like the involuntary weight of the slave. Do that. So okay, maybe this is a little better. The person's getting more involved in the world, but his heart is not in it. It's almost like it's going. He may even make the wrong moves and make mistakes because he doesn't mean well by doing it. Okay, so that's not good. The third group says, no, we're going to battle, fight. That seems okay. Yeah, there's negativity in the world. So of course we're going to go. We're going to protest against the things we think are unjust. We're going to we're going to put up we'll take it on head straight. We'll be belligerent. Okay, in a way that's quite amazing, noble. It even takes great courage and all that. But the question is, what is the real intention? Is it just because a person is looking for a fight or someone to challenge, or do they really mean it? Do they really mean it for be better? Is it just fighting because the person has a lot of energy, or is hyper or manic and just wants to let energy loose, or is it meant for constructive change? So if it's just a battle, battling, it could lead to actual. And just because a person's nature is to be a pugilist or something, then it's energy expended in with not the right intentions, and it could lead to chaos, the actual destruction. And even if the person does come out winning, there could be a lot of damage done in the way. So that's not the best either. The fourth way is to sit and pray. So what's so bad about that? You trust in God, you're praying. But it's almost like the person is shying away from the work too. It's just, I'm going to sit and pray and I'll be spiritual and I'll focus and recall. But it's all because I want to avoid doing the hard work. It's almost easier to pray than to do the difficult tasks at hand. So that, as lofty as it may be, is also skirting the ultimate responsibilities that we have. It's only the fifth way, so to speak, that God tells Moses that no, none of those ways are the right way. The right way, what to do, is just to march ahead, go ahead. You have a destination. In again, as we mentioned before, in the multi-scene arc of the narrative from Exodus is going through the splitting the Red Sea to go to Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. That is the end goal, so to speak, or the penultimate end goal. The ultimate end goal is to enter into the Promised Land, but the more immediate end goal is to reach Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. And there's a sea in the way, true, but don't get distracted from this. This is just merely an almost imposed challenge for the people to overcome and to bring out the ultimate spirit of tapping into the essence of their souls of what is called for the moment, and what is the ultimate way to be is to just follow orders, so to speak. Just have your eye focus, your eye on the target, so to speak, for what you're to achieve. It leads into yoga. We know this. No distractions. When we do poses, just look at that point ahead of us, whatever's going on the right or on the left is to be out of our vision range, and we just have that intention ahead, and that keeps us balanced, stable, and forward, and to progress ahead. And as of the sea in the way, God will take care of that. And get, like almost like in those stories, they have stories with the Baal Shem Tov and other spiritual people, that they're almost that which appears to be the challenge, an obstacle, when the person has the right intention and focus, then it reveals to be merely like a mirage, an illusion that disappears. The story of the Baal Shem Tov about that, or parable of the Baal Shem Tov, that of the person who, I think we mentioned this a while ago, teaching that the person is invited a regular person is invited to go into the king's palace, to go to the innermost chambers, through through 6 chambers to the innermost 7th chamber, and the king places various distractions on the way, gold or other things on the way. So the less astute individuals get distracted, and they don't make it to the innermost chamber to see the king. But the astute subject keeps his eye on the prize and doesn't just get distracted, goes to the king, knowing that all the great seductive prizes are on the way, he'll get anyways, and it'll be even greater once he gets to the king himself. And then when he does get to the king, Baal Shem Tov says, in the innermost chamber, then all the walls that partitioned from in the palace themselves disappear. He realized that really there is no obstacles, there are no walls. It's all directly here, where we're part of it. It's been here all along, in a way. So too, the Yam Suf is also the Red Sea represents an obstacle that actually becomes not only does it disappear, so to speak, right? The water splits, and whether not, as the tradition says, into 12 different passages for each of the tribes to go through, but in fact it embodies the full potency of miraculous, and even water, which is liquid, and it becomes solid and stands. So it's like transforming the laws of nature. And that because the Jewish people at that point just walk ahead with pure faith beyond whatever logical calculations, even spiritual calculations that each of the members of the 4 groups we just mentioned made. But when they got into their essence, just going ahead, following orders, so to speak, then they're able to transcend all, from the worldly way to the miraculous way. And that too is why we invoke so much the leaving of Egypt, even more than creation of the world. Because creation of the world was set up from creating the world Genesis, creating the world from nothing, ex nihilo, as it says. That is establishing the laws of nature. The splitting of the Red Sea was the ultimate miracle that changed the laws of nature, so to speak, showed that nature itself it can be overturned, and so in a way that's a greater chiddush, as we say, greater novelty than just creation. That we say that not only was something created, but something that's already created to be in a specific way changes its way to be, is in a way greater. And that's why when we invoke the miraculous many times in our prayers, Kiddush and other things, we don't invoke as much creation of the world, but the miracle of Exodus. In fact, Hasidic teachings have that even this quality, this unique breaking or upturning of the laws of nature that happened at the Red Sea was itself embedded at the beginning of creation. It was almost a condition made with the sea that it will eventually split, because everything is created by God, but it only and for people to transform the world and to express the miraculous, and for us to access and tap into that miraculous state. So even that is in itself something that originates from the beginning of creation. So, I forgot, we usually begin or start or bring a niggun in at some point. I'll share 2 songs having to do with the song of splitting of the Red Sea. 2 short songs that I came up with, simple ones. And then maybe I'll do another one about the idea that we should all experience leaving Egypt. And then before I forget, also at some point we'll sing a song for Yud Shvat, a song that the previous Rebbe loved, or something like that. Okay. So splitting of the Red Sea, we say that is Az Yashir Moshe. That after the splitting of the Red Sea, Moses sang the song Ashira LaHashem ki gamala ki ga'a. Ashira Lashem Kigamala. Yeah, and there's different verses. There's Aziv Zimratka, Bahili Lishua, my strength and song is to the Lord, and for me it's salvation. And there, there's a popular song to those words, sung. We sing it, it's sung in renewal circles certainly. Aziv Zimratka. Yeshua Hazi Nezimratka Yeshua Azi Vezimraska Yeshua Azi Vezimratka Yeshua. I put up on the screen the words so you can see. How's Yashir? My strength and song is the Lord, and he's to me a salvation. Anyways, here's one that came to me from verse 1. Ashira Lashem Ki Goyim Sos Veroich Voy Rama Vayam Ozi Nezim Rakam Lishua Zekeli Deyaneyo Elokeyo Vivaredenu Hashem Ish Milchama Hashem Shemai. That's it. Dun, da, 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 la, da, 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 la, la, da, 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 it's just like something that came while I was davening or learning. And then here's another in verse 11. The Michamocha, who's like you amongst the mighty, O God, who's like you, endured with holiness, does full of praise, fearful of praise, and does wonders. Meyechamaycha ba'elem Hashem. Meyechamaycha nedad ba'kodesh. Meyechamaycha ba'elem Hashem. Meyechamaycha nedad ba'kodesh. La wa 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 ra say la wa wa was I say farewell I say farewell la wa 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 ra say la wa wa I say farewell I say farewell ya da 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 la da 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 So those are two songs having to do from the longer Aliyah share. Maybe I'll do one more song, also having to do with, as mentioned, that we had not only like we had this the obligation or to remember leaving Egypt every day of the year, particularly when we're reading it in the Torah portion, leaving Egypt. And so that's just to remember, like as something of the past. But then the uniqueness of the Passover Seder is that we say not only you're supposed to remember, but you're supposed to lirot et atzma. You're supposed to view yourself as if you went out of Egypt. In some versions, is this as if you left Egypt today, that day of Passover. So it's not just a memory of the past, but it's a re-experiencing, seeing oneself, or also to show and act and behave in a way like we are leaving that very day from Egypt. That's why so many rituals and parts of the Passover Seder is reenacting the Exodus. Okay. So, well, I'm sorry. So what? So I came up with. I made a song. It was channeled through me. Let's say, having to do with those words. V'chol davar dar, in every generation. Chayav Adam, a person's obligated lirot atzmo, to view himself ki'ilu hu Yatsa Hayom Mitzrayim, as if he left that day from Egypt. Okay, so this niggun came to me also a few years ago, and it's a longer song, and it's also because it's about like we're to feel and really feel it all through and through, as if we left Egypt, that we did leave Egypt and leaving Egypt now. That so therefore the song is a little bit longer to like get it to soak through us. Okay, I'll put the words up so we can at least join in or see the words. It's this first line. B'chol davar chai v'adam nirot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim. B'chol davar v'adam chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ke'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim B'chol davar v'adam Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim b'chol davar v'adam Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim b'chol davar v'adam Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim b'chol davar Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ke'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim B'chol davar v'adam Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ke'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim b'chol davar v'adam Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Ke'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim b'chol davar v'adam Chayav adam nirois nirois es atzmai Elohu Yavotza Mitzrayim Bechol davar bechol davar Ayo Adam leirchav Adam leiraises atzmo kehilohu Yavotza Mitzrayim Bechol davar v'davar Chayav Adam lirais esav atzmo kilu Yavotza Mitzrayim Bechol davar v'davar Chayav Adam lirais es atzmo Elohu Yatzor Hayavavavavavo There. I mean, obviously, I went a little too screechy at the end, but that's the point. So it's like a song with build up to sing it the same words over and over to feel it going deeper and deeper in us, the Exodus and re-experiencing the leaving of Egypt. Is I will sing a song that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe loved, the Rabbi Yisrael really loved. The song is called the Beinani. The Beinani is a term. Comes from Tanya, the original, most important text of Chabad, which is addressed for not the most holy, righteous person, not the most iniquitous person, but the Beinani, meaning the middle person, the average person, for the person that, most people, us, and how we are to approach and serve the Almighty and divine and such. So we'll sing the Beinani song of Rabbi Yitzchak, it's a favorite, and then maybe one more song from the Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, his successor, the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe, a song that he loved, okay, or taught. He actually, Rabbi Menachem Mendel, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe, our Rebbe, you can say, the Rebbe I grew up with. He actually officially taught Simchas Torah for 10 years. He taught 10 songs, 9-10 years, and then he taught a few other songs over the years. He taught us probably like 15 songs or so. So here's the Beinani, the song that the previous Rebbe loved. Here's go. That's the Beinoni. Now, the song from the Rebbe I'll share actually. It's known as Shamil, and it comes with a story. I'll tell it in brief. When the Rebbe taught the song, I think it was 1958, Simchas Torah, it would be after he would do Hakafis till like 3, 4 in the morning, and then there would be the meal. He would come back down to the shul like 5, 6 in the morning, give out l'chaim to all those that took upon themselves to learn extra chassidus for the year, and then he would teach a niggun. So one year he taught this song, Shamil. What's Shamil? Who is Shamil? Shamil was in the 1800s. He was an actual historical character. He was the head of a Muslim, like Sufi-related warrior tribe or clan that lived in the upper Caucasus Mountains. And in fact, when at Columbia University, I found a whole book, a biography on Shamil. There's even pictures of him. Maybe I could even find now. It's called Imam Shamil. There's a wiki page for him. I'll actually put it in here. So Imam Shamil, you see, here he is. That's his face, you see? So he's a real historical character. And the following story I'm going to share, which the Rebbe gave over, is a true historical account. It's in his biography I found. The story is that in the 1800s, I think it was the mid-1800s, when the Tsar then, I forget which Tsar, it was Paul or Alexander or someone, it was expanding the Russian Empire south over the Caucasus. I think this part of the Caucasus was owned and was controlled at a certain point even by the Persian Empire, which lost it. Be it as it may, the Shamil, Imam Shamil, the leader of this Muslim Caucasus people up there, yeah, he says he was for Naqshbandi Sufis. Naqshbandi Sufis are very interesting. I actually met some of them in Turkey, in central Turkey. And they have a very interesting form of Sufism, both not only mystical, but they even deal with like doing things like Hasidim in a way. They'll drink even though it's against Islam, or talk about it at least, and do things that appear like irrational, etc. They're quite spirited individuals. The Naqshbandis. I think so. They're in Turkey, in the Caucasus. I think they're also in Albania. There's some. Be it as it may, it says here in the wiki page, Shamil was born in 1797. Oh, there's even a picture I'll show you soon of the story I wanted to tell you. So this makes it long story short. The Russian Empire couldn't conquer them because they were really warriors, battle season, and they knew the territory up behind the mountains. And the Russian army didn't know how to fight up in the mountain cliffs and all that, or especially they were being fought with guerrilla warfare. So finally, so the Russians came up with a ruse, and that was they sent a message that they're calling a truce on Shamil and his clan, and therefore come down from the mountains, and we're going to sign a peace treaty with you. Right, so Shamil comes down, and in true Russian moral ways of doing things, they arrest him, throw him in prison. In the true account of the story, in the true history, he was, I think, even brought to St. Petersburg and held under house arrest. And actually, here's a picture that Wiki has of him. Capture of Shamil, it's called. You see here? Capture of Shamil. There we are. So you basically can't have them. They're Shamil, and they're ostensibly for the truce, but then they go and they capture him. Okay? But he still remained fierce as a warrior, even when he was arrested and under house arrest and such. There's another picture of him, Imam Shamil. Incidentally, the Shamil is, according to some versions, one of the 99 names of God or characteristics of God in Islam. So this Shamil comes down, he's thrown in prison. And while he's in prison, he's even in the story it goes that he can even see the mountain range up where he came from. And he looks out and he first thinks, oh, how high I was when I was ruling up in the mountains. And look, now I'm down in prison, all trapped and confined down here. But one day I will be freed and released, and I'll return back up the mountain. So the Rebbe gave over the story, and he said that Hasidim would say that this is a metaphor for the soul. The soul was originally up in the highest range mountains. There's even a term, we were one in the upper peaks of the divine, with the heavenly throne. And then the soul was thrown, Mi'igra Rama Labira Amikta, as the term is, from the high mountain to the low valley. And the soul was thrown into this world, into a physical body, almost trapped in there. It cannot be its true free self. But when we work right and do the right things, then we could free ourselves again to return. Not when we pass away, heaven forbid, but even in our bodies, we could reach that original pure spirit soul state of the way we were, all the way up in the mountains, and in a way even higher than before. Okay, so that is the story, and that is what the story means from metaphor into as an allegory for the soul and coming down the body into the body and back and return. And with that, there is the following niggun that the Rebbe taught that also has 3 parts to it that represent these 3 parts. Originally, the soul is high, then came down low, and then goes back up. It goes like this, and this is what the Rebbe taught. And there's even a long recording of the Rebbe singing it. Ya ra ra yo 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 do yo no no yo no no oh no no yo That's this whole song. I was going to sing it again, but maybe I just put in the clip of the Rebbe singing it. It's from a recording from 1959 at the Farbrengen. But maybe what I'll do is I'll just play it, and I could do actually that. We could hear the Rebbe himself sing it. The Rebbe actually sings it 3 times, each time higher. Here we go. By the way, I mean the legend is that when the Rebbe started singing, I think, hi, hi, they thought he was going to faint, and you hear people ruckus. It sounds like they're saying, "Bring water, bring water." They thought that it was what's known as the expiration of the spirit, close to nefesh, but it didn't happen. But then you know what? You'll hear. Let me just skip ahead. You see the Rebbe singing it on a higher octave. Let's see, because the Chassidim here, do it 3 times. Okay, and then the Chassidim sing it. So, I mean, I think that is the longest recording we have of the Rebbe singing any songs, so like multiple times and once, and you hear he takes it higher and higher. So just remember, the Chassidim didn't know the song more or less until the Rebbe taught it in 1958, 59, and that so. Speaking of this day of like when the Rebbe becomes a Rebbe, it's like the passing of the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe Yisrael, and the Rebbe takes on. It has also similar connotations of descent and ascent, and a lot of the theme of the day of the teaching of Bas Lagani, returning to the garden, is that the descent for a higher ascent to come. That's the whole purpose of why we're brought down. The souls are brought down to this world, is not just to survive and not just to go back to square one. to get even up, but to go even higher than square one, ironically by coming down to the lowest, as we were learning before, that the ultimate expression of the highest, dafka, when it comes to the lowest of the low, when the Yudke Vavke can come down to the lowest of the low. Okay, so thank you, Rabbi Sai. The ikir is that as we remember, we were talking before, Amalek isn't even one thing. It's just severing the brain stem from the heart, right? So may we keep our heads on straight and learn how to be aligned fully. And that's the point we're also learning here, that once the head is right and aligned, then it could fully express itself and repair from that Amalek severing the head. Yeah, by the way, just reminders, maybe we'll learn at Purim time, there's a famous Gemara that Rabbah got so drunk that he cut off Rav Zera's head, his colleague, the great guy, and when he realized after Purim what he did, when he got sober, he, through his special ways, however he did it, Rabbah repaired the head, put the head of Rav Zera back on, and it was good. And then it came next Purim, Rav Zera tells Rabbah, watch out, don't get drunk again this year. When the head chopped off. And the Rebbe was there, explained it in 1985 in detail, what it means. The Rebbe even said it on Shabbos. He said he didn't even want to discuss it during Purim when things were being recorded, because it's deep teachings. And the Rebbe basically said Rabba means from great, and that he had greatness, and he thought you could go work beyond the head. You doesn't have to be attached to the body. It could just be the head. But Zera means small. Not the contrary, you have to be headed with the body and all this. That's the point. Where we need a whole human beings, healthy human beings, heads connect to our bodies, heads to the heart. And like with the spheres, the Yud K to be connected to the Vav K, right? And not to be in that state of Amalek, of doubt and severance. And in that way, we can mamish see that when everything's connected, then it's like, then you have the totality, the Gesamtwerk. You have the totality of everything, from the top of the head to the tippy toes, and then the ultimate essence could be revealed from that. And that is, again, one more last thing to connect it to the emphasis of this year's Hasidic discourse for Yud Shvat. The Rebbe is to explain this term in the Tikkun Zohar, the addendum of the Zohar, which says that the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light of God, is l'mayla adin keitz u'lamata mata adin tachlis. It's from all the way up to no end, and down to no end, to no terminus. Meaning that and the Rebbe explains, the previous Rebbe and the Rebbe even more, that it's not two separate concepts, but it's one and the same, that the essence of the infinite of God is expressed when it can reach the highest of heights and the lowest of lows simultaneously. Okay? So may we all manifest this literally, and especially with Shabbos, as we explained, that's the whole point of Shabbos, to bring it down into the physical world. Even when we eat our bread, to be manna, and remember, we eat the Lacha Mishnah, a double portion that represents the double portion received in the desert month. So we're living it even every Shabbos, through our food, through our drink, through everything in our lives. So thank you again, Rabbi. So it's already 4:01 a.m. on the East Coast. I think this is the time to call it good night, good morning, wherever you are. And to many, many more, and looking forward to learning next week again with everyone. Farbrengen. Toda Rabba, everyone. Good bench week and Shabbos and all. Take care, Chavra.
Thank you so much, everybody.